Hello, it's Yokai again, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. Really excited about today's interview with an expert that I admire, who's got something very special to share with us here today. And we've entitled the interview for today, Personal Finance, Critical Skills Every Business Owner Needs to Have and Develop if they are going to succeed in their business. The guest I have is a special lady from Canada, and her name is Tammy Johnston. Now, Tammy is a financial advisor with 23 years of experience in the financial services and insurance. She has over 14 years working with families, teens, and kids, and have been teaching personal finance courses to the public for over 14 years ago. Welcome to the interview, Tammy.
Thank you for having me.
Incredible. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time to share your knowledge about personal finance.
Well, it is my pleasure to help you out however I can.
Incredible. To get us started, Tammy, our audience would love to get to know you and to know your background and your experience so that they can relate to you better. So can you tell us a bit about your background?
Well, my background is I actually started on the administrative side in financial services. I was working in the front office of Investors Group, a large financial services company here in Canada. And I decided that I really, really liked it. And I had a supervisor who was pushing me, says, Tammy, you're really smart. Why don't you work on getting like your mutual fund license and that? And I said, hey, why not? So I did, and I worked there for 3.5 years. And then I was recruited away to go and run an independent office for 2 different agents. And I was there for 3.5 years. And then I got recruited again, and I went and I ended up running, we call them here MGAs, Managing General Agencies. They're the intermediary between insurance agents and the life insurance companies in Canada.
Right.
So I ran 2 of those, and then my husband and I were deciding about starting our family, and I didn't want to be putting my daughter in daycare and having to do the regular 9 to 5 and dealing with all of that stuff. So I decided, okay, now it's time for me to start my own business and go into sales.
Right.
So decided to do that and got pregnant shortly after starting my business, which made things a lot more interesting.
Yes.
And ended up taking 30 hours of mat leave when I had my daughter.
Right.
Because the business was just starting to get up and running. And yes, we do actually have very good maternity leave in Canada if you're an employee. If you're self-employed, there's nothing. And even if there was, the business was just starting to get going. So it's like, okay, if I stop, everything's going to come crashing down, and it'll be so much harder to start up again. So we just kept going, and my daughter was seeing clients with me before she was 2 days old. I missed teaching 1 class because that's the day I gave birth. Right. She was teaching with me the next week. Wow. And my daughter did her first trade show with me when she was 2 weeks old. So we just, okay, bounce, keep going.
Incredible. I love the way that you took that on, like you couldn't just separate the two. In fact, that's one of the joys of being an entrepreneur.
It's definitely one of the joys. Like I said, it's one of the reasons that I started my business, is because I wanted to have the control of doing that. I couldn't have done that if I had been in a normal job, where when I was seeing clients and they saw the baby under construction, I still have clients that want to see my daughter more than they want to see me because they've been through her whole life.
Oh, how precious is that? And, because it's human, they understand these things, that these are part of life. So, they relate to you more.
Well, yeah, and they understand that I understand them as well, because I'm not trying to put on this fake front. They see that, okay, yes, I am a wife and a mom and a business owner, and I have to figure out how to make all this stuff go and how to make my life work the way I want it to, rather than trying to fit into somebody else's schedule.
Right. And how long ago was that when you started your business?
just over 14 years ago.
Incredible. And you're still at it and now expanding. And earlier on, we were talking about you will be doing podcasting, helping families.
Yes.
Incredible.
My podcast will be coming out next month, actually. So
wonderful. And one of the things that you have done, which I think is worth noting, is you've gone on to write several books on financial foundations, which teach kids and adults about money, budgeting, and understand credit as a whole. Can you talk to us about that?
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite subjects, actually. So I've been teaching personal finance courses to the public for 14 years. The reason why I've been doing that is because, unfortunately, Canadians have the lowest rate of financial literacy in the westernized world. Right. Means on the subject of money, we're dumber than Americans. And that's absolutely terrifying. And people go, how is that possible? Because the Canadian economy is doing so much better than the American economy. And I said, well, there's kind of pros and cons with that. We have laws that protect us, that they can't do the things to us as consumers that they can legally do to people down in the States, which is wonderful. But with that, so many people have abdicated their personal responsibility that they know nothing. And if things are going well, most of the time it's blind luck.
Right.
And so I started teaching a personal finance course, everything you need to know about money, think you do, and I guarantee you don't. Everything from setting up like how a budget works for you in your life, not the one that how you think it should, but how it actually does work. Understanding credit and mortgages and all the different insurances and what are the questions and stuff to ask. And so it's a great course. People come out like their heads are throbbing, but they're really excited going, okay, now I can do so much better. And one of the most common questions I would get asked every single class is, if I had learned this stuff that you taught me today 20, 30, 40 years ago, my life would be totally and completely different. What can you recommend for my kids? Because I don't want them to make the same mistakes and miss out on the same opportunities that I did, because I just didn't know. So how can I start educating my kids?
Right.
And I'd say, I'll have to check into that, because I can recommend tons of really, really good resources for the adults. And I started to do the research, and I found that there was like nothing whatsoever that the kids could pick up and read themselves and be interested in.
Right. Like
there's now a few books out there for the parents to read and then try to teach the kids, but there was nothing for the kids. And I'm going, this is a huge, huge need. So I actually have a client and a former assistant of mine who is an incredibly amazing artist. And so we sat down and started to create the books. So they're small. There's 6 books in a set, and the first set's available now. The second set's going to be out shortly. But they're beautifully illustrated. They're simple but informative, right. And they don't speak over anybody's head, but they also don't insult anybody's intelligence. Kids are way smarter than we give them credit for. And when the kids pick up the books, and to be honest, they usually have to be forced, because if they hear the word money or financial, they think it's a math textbook and they're being punished. But as soon as they get into it through bribery, coercion, or punishment, they love the books and they start asking the questions, because money is a fact of life, period. It's absolutely everywhere, but absolutely. It is the most taboo subject there is. Talking about money is more taboo than talking about sex with kids.
Absolutely. It's all quite obvious to me that you've been around, and you know what you're talking about, and now you're even helping other people. We would love to just go to dive in and talk about the critical skills you feel the business owner needs to develop if they're going to, to succeed with their money, be it in the personal life as a business owner or running a company.
Well, we can totally do that.
Awesome. So the first set of questions I have is, what is that first skill that every business owner needs to develop when it comes to their finances?
Number one, they need to be aware. Most people get into business because they want to do their job. They're known as technicians. They're really, really good roofers or contractors or They have a great retail store. So they want to go in and do all of that. And the biggest problem that I have seen in all my years of working with families and working with small business owners is they let the money stuff go to the back burner, if they even bother putting it on the stove at all. And they're so busy making money that they have no idea of what is actually going on. Like I get called in fairly regularly when a business owner is in trouble. They're going, I've got payroll on Friday and I've got all these bills and stuff I've got to pay and I have no money. What am I going to do?
Right.
And the first question I ask is, when was the last time you sent out an invoice? And they get all blushy and red and they say, oh, that was 3 months ago. And I'm going, well, that would be explaining why you have no money. Why haven't you invoiced anybody? Well, because I've been busy working.
Right.
Do you pay a bill you haven't received? No. Well, then neither do your customers. The simple fact that they need to be aware of the financial aspects. It doesn't have to be absolutely everything, but if you are not paying attention, you are going to sink faster than anything.
Incredible. Now, suppose somebody is already in that state. Are there any tools that can help them to become aware, that can help them in the process?
The big thing is, so when I've got somebody that's first starting out, I pretty much insist that they do their own bookkeeping for a minimum of 6 months.
Right.
They don't have to keep doing it, but the reason why I like them to do their own bookkeeping, I don't know what programs you have over in England, but a really common one that we use over here in Canada and even in the States is QuickBooks, because it's a very nice, simple accounting system that normal people can understand. You don't have to have the accounting degrees or the bookkeeping certificates in order to understand it. And it makes you sit down and go, okay, what do I have going out? What do I have coming in? And being aware of the stuff and setting a specific time aside, preferably every day. Because if you do it every day, it becomes a habit and it only takes a couple of minutes. Or at the very, very least, once a week, you block out like half an hour or whatever you need to sit down and go over your books and go, what's coming in, what's going out, and seeing the different things so that you can notice the patterns and be aware. Like if you're supposed to be getting a discount from a supplier, but you're not, or if you're supposed to be charging for something to a client that you haven't been aware of things.
Right. All right. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And for those maybe who have already given that task to somebody, to do that, how can they monitor that? What are the ways around for them to get back to that awareness?
If you've already got somebody else doing your bookkeeping, you should be sitting down with your bookkeeper when you're first getting into this, sitting down with your bookkeeper or having a phone conversation at least once a month, and having a look at your reports. Because the bookkeeper, there's so many, like your profit and loss, your income, all of those reports can be generated very easily by your bookkeeper. And even just a simple thing of taking a look at your receipts and your bills and your invoices. So yes, you're handing that off to a bookkeeper, but you still need to know what's going on. Reason why I say this is, so I have an assistant and I get paid on a commission basis. So I get paid through 27 different agent codes. It's not simple.
Right.
My assistant puts everything into my accounting system. I don't do the data input or anything like that. But she's not allowed to file my commission statements until I've done a quick scan of them, because I know what I should be getting paid on certain things. And one of my largest companies, somebody at head office just decided to change my commission payout rate from 85% to 70%. So it's a pretty big drop. And so I saw this and I fired off a question going, so what's going on? I'm supposed to be getting paid at this rate and my commission statements are showing this. Found out that somebody at head office, they didn't do it just to me, they did it to 3,000 other agents
Whoa.
I am the only person that by the time they got it all straightened out and had me properly paid back, 2 months later, they owed me $15,000. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot.
And if I hadn't taken a look at my commission statements, even though I have my assistant put it all in there, but because I know the numbers and go, okay, that's not right, I'd probably still be getting paid out at the 70% rate because nobody else noticed, and I would have lost tens of thousands of dollars. That's why I say you need to be aware. You can pass off like the data entry work and things like that, but if you're not aware of what your numbers are you paying too much and are you not getting paid enough? Because you're working hard for that money. You want to make sure that you are getting everything that is due to you, because if you're not, you are not going to survive.
No,
you're donating.
You're volunteering. Awesome. What is then the second skill?
The second skill, I would say, is putting together a plan. And when I'm talking about a plan is you want to be going, okay, what type of business and what size of business, what type of revenue and stuff do I want to be bringing in? Because when most people are talking about, they're going, when they're looking at the numbers, they're going, okay, am I in the black? Is there some profit? Well, that's really good and important, but there's a very different way of building. If I want to make $1 million in revenue, I'm going to be planning and doing my business and planning my expenditures of time, money, and effort very differently than, you know what? I want to have $100,000 business. Not saying one is better than the other, but you need to be planning. So if you want to be going to, say, $1 million business instead of $100,000 business, well, you're going to be delegating a lot more stuff. You're going to be bringing in an assistant rather than doing all sorts of things on your own. You might be looking at improving your computer system or equipment or different things like that that are a larger expense up front, but they free up your time and effort and allow you to scale to make more money.
Absolutely.
So planning for where do you want to go, not just where you are. You need to be aware of where you are, but where do you want to go? Like if you're in England and you want to be going to visit me in Calgary, Canada, or you want to be going to Barcelona, Spain, or you want to be going to Sydney, Australia, all are perfectly acceptable locations, but you're going to plan the trip for each one very differently.
That's right. Absolutely. The secret is in the detail. So what sort of planning tools do you currently use in your business, which when it comes to finances, that you think our business owners in the community may find useful?
Well, like I said, the biggest one, I don't know if it's available over in England or Europe or anything, but the one that I recommend for my clients and I use for myself is QuickBooks.
Okay.
It's an accounting program, nice and simple, and it allows you to see things, and any bookkeeper can work with it as well.
Incredible. Now that we've got the awareness out of way, and the business owner is doing their planning, what is the next stage that they need to focus on? It's maybe
next stage. After, like, once the finances are actually really, really simple. Once you've got your understanding and you make the habit of paying attention, like either daily, and if I'm talking with somebody, like if I've got retail clients and stuff like that, I even make them pay attention to their finances on an hourly basis. And the reason why I say that is because it allows them to be aware, okay, when is your business coming in? Like, when are you busy and when are you quiet? So if you've got a retail store and you're open from 9 until 9, but you're finding out that you have the cash register isn't ringing until 11 o'clock, well, why are you paying staff to be there at 9 or 8 to be ready when nobody's coming in? Where you might want to be moving that or having it open, but you have different stuff for your staff to do, and also seasonal, like when are you busy and when are you slow, and figure out, okay, what is bringing in the business when it's busy, and what can I be doing to improve my marketing and bring in more customers when it's slow. It allows you to see the patterns. Money, the finances don't just tell you about the money aspect, but they tell you about what is the rhythm and the heartbeat of your business if you're looking at the time and what's going on.
Incredible. I love what you say about the finance is really, really simple if you look at it. That statement speaks to me about the mindset you have about money. Talk to us a bit about the right mindset, which I can tell you have, that business owner needs to adopt when it comes to their finances.
Well, the big thing is they need to be open about it. They need to find competent, qualified people to discuss with them, people that are positive, people that will bring out the most in them. And making money is, if you are doing it honestly, ethically, and morally, business is a form of art. It is absolutely beautiful and wonderful, and we're helping other people. But the rules are honest, moral, and ethical.
Right.
And being open to receive, not just give, because I work with quite a few people, and they're wonderful at what they do, and they're very generous. And the problem that they have is they feel guilty about accepting payment. And that drives me nuts, because I'm going, in order for you to give, somebody has to receive. So if you're helping your client or your customer or your prospect, and they say, no, I can't receive anything, how do you feel as the person that's trying to give that? I said, they feel horrible. And I'm going, it's blocking the system. So you provide a good product, a good service, you're helping someone out. That's your part, the giving. And then you also have to be willing and open and gracious and full of gratitude in order to receive the payment and the referrals and the appreciation. It's that beautiful, wonderful, positive circle that you need to have. And a lot of people have the difficulty with that. Not so much on the giving. Very few people I find have a problem with the giving of the service and things like that. It's the receiving of the money that they have the emotional blockage with.
Incredible. Now, that's a huge part. We could go on for a long time. You have, quite rightly explained, that if they are not receiving, they're sort of cheating the other person the opportunity to give. Are there any real strategies or that they can use to train their mind or themselves that receiving is actually okay? It's part of the equation.
Big thing that I do myself and I recommend to everyone is you need to be reading. And there are some really, really good books specifically on dealing with the emotional aspects of money. One of my favorite books for dealing with that is called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. That's a really, really good one for dealing with the emotional blockage that we have around money. Laurel Langmeyer also has some really good books on dealing with the emotional aspects of dealing with the money and the receiving. And another one that's really, really good is, I'm also a big fan of the Robert Kiyosaki books, like The Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the Cash Flow Quadrant and stuff like that. Right. Because it teaches you just like how money works and how to think about it, and that it's not a negative thing, and greed is not a bad thing as long as you're being honest, moral, ethical, and you're providing a good product or service and you're not cheating. Right. It's a perfectly fine thing. That's what makes the world improve and get better.
Absolutely. Well, that's what keeps the system moving.
Yes.
Awesome.
I explain to people that money, when you're talking about business, there's two things. There's profit and cash flow, and you need to have both. Profit is the money that's left over after everything's paid. Cash flow is money coming in on a regular basis to be making sure that the bills are getting paid. It's the circulation. And you need to have both. Because if you cut off the cash flow, you have no circulation, you're not going to survive. And if you don't have any profit, then you're just spinning your wheels.
Well put. Are there any other major skills at this point with regards to either personal finance or business finance, we need to let our business owner know about that I haven't asked you about?
The biggest thing that I would say is asking questions.
Right.
Because the game is constantly changing, and what works in my business might not work for another personal financial advisor or different things. when it comes to money, there's only two things that are guaranteed: death and taxes. I can legally help you pay less in taxes. I can't do anything about your death. But learning to ask the questions, because if you can learn to comfortably ask the questions, answers, and it also helps you figure out if people know what it is that they're talking about and they're sincerely out to help you, or, to be very blunt, are they talking out of their ass? Because if someone cannot explain something to you in plain, simple English in a way that makes sense to you without talking down to you, they either don't know what they're talking about or they're a jerk, or both. But if they can answer the question clearly and respectfully and in a way that you understand, they know what it is that they're talking about, and the chances are much better that they're actually out there to help you. If somebody cannot handle being asked questions and stuff, don't do business with them, no matter what it is.
Absolutely well put on there. Tammy, you've covered some very important aspects. I want to take you back to those early years of running your business, to look at the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them. Is there any one particular challenge, maybe related to the subject we're talking about here, or any entrepreneurial subject that you feel could help our audience today?
Well, the biggest challenge that I had when I first started my business was I had spent all of my life up until then on the employee side. So I knew what I was going to get paid every 2 weeks or on the middle of the month and the end of the month or whatever. I knew what was coming in. It was nice and consistent. It's easy to deal with and things like that. When I moved into sales and starting my own business, I got paid, and I still do, strictly on a commission basis. I eat what I kill. And I like to eat very well, so I've gotten very, very good at the killing part. But when I first started out, I didn't want to just go out and push the way everybody else is told to start in the business, like bug all your family and friends, and the idea of cold calling and stuff like creep me right out too. I'm going, I want to be building a business going to last. I want one that's going to fit for my life. And I didn't make very much money to begin with. Like, I finished off like a job making about $60,000 a year. And then 2 years in business, I think I made about $24,000. So things got pretty lean. And I never knew exactly when it was coming in, because I could meet with a client and even write everything up, but it could be 2 weeks to like 4 months to get paid on everything. So having to deal with that stress of not having the steady paycheck and knowing exactly what's coming in, and having to go out and serve my clients and do the giving before I could get the receiving of the money coming in, was really, really stressful.
Right.
And that's quite common across the board for anybody that's starting a business, because it's not in a direct trading time for money. I put in this many hours, I get this much money back. It's all front loaded on the work. So you're going to be working and working and working, and you're not going to be seeing those financial rewards right away. And you have to deal with the stress of it. You have to deal with the naysaying of beloved family members and friends that are going, why don't you just go back to a nice, safe, secure job, and you won't have to deal with all of this. You have to find those ways of coping and keeping forward and being able to pay your bills. Like, that's why having that cash flow part is really important. Whether it's you're lucky and you've got a spouse that's working, or you've got some savings, or you were able to get enough of a loan to start your business to look after things for a little bit. But you have to find those ways to get over that tough part. And now that I'm making very, very good money, and have for quite a while, and I have the control over my time in my life, some of the people that went through the tough times with us would say, oh, you're so lucky. And I'm going, luck has nothing to do with it.
Absolutely. I can hear the voice of experience, because I had the same thing. And they say, oh, you're lucky, everything seemed to go well for you. I say, oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, there's all the stuff that you missed.
Absolutely. They say, oh, you're an overnight success. 1 minute you're not there, 1 minute you have all clients across the world. What's the secret? the 1 minute.
Yeah, if you're talking overnight, you're talking a few years of overnights.
So tell me, how did you manage that really critical time? What did you do during that time?
Well, one of the things, two things that I did. So number one, I'm a major geek, so I read a lot. So I was reading the business books and stuff. Like one of my favorite books for myself when you're having those days like, why am I working so damn hard and doing this? And that I recommend for my clients is The Chicken Soup for the Entrepreneur's Soul. I love that book because it goes over all the like really successful businesses that are household names around the world now, and the nightmare and the stress and stuff that they went through. So it's going, okay, you know what? They've been through it and they managed to succeed. I can do this too. And other really, really good business books. And the other thing is my circle of friends and my support network totally and completely changed. So the people that as an employee that were really good friends and we spent our social time and stuff with, I still love them dearly, but we pretty much don't have anything to do with them anymore because I'm going someplace completely different. The people that I socialize with and spend time with are self-employed small business owners because the conversations that we have are very different and we're there to support one another. So I have an emergency number. So if I'm having one of those bad days and getting stressed, I can phone them and go, why am I doing this again? And they help me out and hold my hand and kick my ass. And I'm used as the emergency number for a lot of people. But it's putting the people that know what it is that you're trying to do, understand and support you, and surrounding yourself with them. That's what gets you through. Because it's not just emotional support, but they can also help. Well, have you thought about this? And have you tried this? And oh, here's somebody who might be able to help you with that. They understand, and they're not just there to help you out with kind words. They help you out with practical advice and connections and stuff as well.
Incredible. Now, that's a very important, valuable lesson you've just shared there. Maybe somebody in our audience is thinking, but I don't have those people. How do you go about finding those like-minded people and maybe get into a mastermind group? What did you do during that time? How did you find those, like advisory body, so to speak, reliable individual, better circle of friends?
Two places. So I'm a big fan of networking. There's tons of great networking groups out there for business people and self-employed and your solopreneurs. Find the one that works for you. Like you might go to a group and you're going, you know what, this does not click with me at all. You try another one, you're going, there's one or two people here that I connect with. So go out and find those people. And I'm going to make an admission here. I'm a major introvert. So going out and like just talking to people or any of the small talk stuff stresses me right out. If you want me to stand in front of a room of 10,000 people and give a 1-hour speech, as long as it's on a topic I like, no problem. But going out and like shaking hands and stuff is something I really have to push myself to do.
Right.
But I do it, and I've met some incredible people. And then the other way is find yourself a good group coaching program. There's lots of them out there. Coaches are really, really good, and there's ones that are good for the one-on-one. So you can be talking about marketing or life or financial or whatever in the world it is that you need to be working on. But there's also some really, really good group coaching programs for self-employed small business owners. And that's where you find people that you know are wanting to improve themselves. Those are the types of people that you want to be connecting with and building those relationships with, because you know that they're willing to do the work to improve themselves in their business.
Beautiful. You're just doing an amazing job explaining these things in such a simple, easy to apply way. We are big at application, and I'm hoping the business owners in our community are taking notes just as I am, to make sure that they implement this. Now, I know for a fact that some people here would want to connect with you on some level. If they do, where can they find you? And what service do you provide that they can maybe use?
Easiest way to find me is through my website, thefinancialguides.com. I can also be found on Facebook, Tammy C. Johnston on Facebook, and through LinkedIn. I'm always looking to connect with new people and help help them out. I love business. This is what I do for fun. People say, what's your hobby? I'm going, money and business. Yes, I am a geek, but I'm going, I only have one life, so I'm going to spend it doing what I want to do. So why should there be lines between work and pleasure? If you can do it both at the same time, life is a good thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
Different services I provide on the personal financial planning stuff. Because I'm in Canada, I can pretty much only work here, but my children's financial books that are also good for the adults, they're good absolutely anywhere because it's not product specific, it's concept and teaching people how things generally work and how to ask the questions, so that by learning to ask the questions, you can figure out what's the difference between products in Canada and products in England and products in France and stuff like that. But the general same across the board. And I help with different business questions and stuff as well, because I've been in business myself for over 14 years, and I specialize in working with self-employed small business owners.
Incredible. Once again, that website where you can find Tammy Johnston is thefinancialguides.com, and you'll be able to send her an email there should you want to do that. Once again, Tammy, we would love to have you back, maybe talking on the aspect of credit or any other aspect around money for our audience. But thank you so much for being here with us today.
It has been a pleasure.
Incredible. And for our audience, thank you for joining us. And, as we always say, apply these principles. They will transform your life. If they work there in Canada, they also work right where you are, because these are just concepts, just like what Tammy said. They are not product specific, but they are concept, universal concept that helps you, get to where you want to get. With that said, again, that website for Tammy is thefinancialguides.com, or you can reach out on LinkedIn. I'm sure Tammy is also very active there. We'll be able to respond to you. I'm Yokai Kajidori, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur. And should you ever want an assistant with your outsourcing needs, visit our website, which is www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Once again, thank you, Tammy, for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Incredible. Bye for now.